Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Whitetail Rendezvous is pleased to announce an affiliate relationship with GoHunt.com. Who is GoHunt.com? They are the creators of GoHunt/Insider, the hunting industry DIY leader for everything Western hunting, covering the big game units for the states of Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. What does Insider include? Well, it includes the most powerful research tool ever created for DIY hunters, changing how hunts are found. It includes the draw odds for every state covered. It's the most accurate in the industry. How about over 4,200 big game unit profiles, every unit, species, and season, with in-depth analysis, interactive maps, season trends, unit assets. Plus, you get access to the GoHunt.com gear shop, where by becoming a member, you will get a $50 gift shop card. Yes. Join now at www.gohunt.com/insider and use promo code WR for a free $50 Go Hunt gear shop gift certificate. Join now at GoHunt.com/insider. Whitetail Rendezvous receives a small commission for anybody using promo code WR while joining Insider.
Hey, folks. Bruce Hutchin, host of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're heading north of the border, and a friend of mine, Chad, social media friend, Chad works up in Alberta, Drayton Valley, actually. And just north of Edmonton, he took just a dandy buck last weekend. And so I said, hey, let's get this on early season bucks. And you'll notice in the picture when I did post this, there's snow on the ground. So Chad, first of all, welcome to the show. Love to have you as a guest. And let's just jump right into it and talk about this early season buck with snow on the ground from Canada.
Thanks for having me. So tell the story. Well, it was like any other day. I was actually hunting down south for mule deer, and I decided to end that trip pretty early. So I came back, and it was pretty wet and snowy and everything else. And the wind wasn't in my favor, but I decided to go sit in my stand and actually never had this buck on game camera. And a week before that, I had a grizzly bear actually go through my area where I was hunting. So I thought, there's no way a buck's going to come out, but I thought I better go have a quick peek.
Yeah.
I got in the stand for maybe 40 minutes, and this guy come out 20 yards from me. And he was a good deer. I've never seen him before. He had nice dark antlers, and actually they were a tinge of red from the velvet coming off. So I was pretty excited. And he decided to walk down the trail and come out 10 yards in front of me, and he was kind of nervous and everything else, and gave me an opportunity, and I let him have it. So,
well, that's a good story, but how come your stand was there? Let's get the backstory. And like you said, okay, you never saw him, so you got cameras out?
Oh yeah, I did a ton of pre-scouting. I usually get my cameras out. I try to get my cameras out mid-July, even June, even the end of June, actually. I like to see the start of the growth of the antlers. I love just being out in the woods and setting stands in the right areas. I got a good spot where it's between a big field and a lot of bedding areas. So I kind of did a lot of pre-scouting in that area to be able to get an opportunity to harvest a good deer in that area. I usually have lots of pictures of decent bucks walking through, but nothing of like this caliber. Maybe a little bit bigger too, but it's always different. So
Yeah. Now, so is it a funnel? Is it a pinch point, or how would you describe it?
It would be more or less of a funnel coming right through from their bedding area all the way to the food out in the farmer's field out there. He's got canola out there this year, and they love grazing through that stuff and chomping away on it. And I try to cut them off before they head out to their food or to their bed.
So you can catch them going in at night or coming back in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on a very heavy intersection, I guess you can call it, because deer are heading into bed and cruising around or whatever else. It's a very busy spot. So
Now, when you don't see, mature bucks, let's just call it that, how do you change it up, or you just take what comes?
Oh, I have a few other stands too that I have up in kind of areas closer to that one, and I try to keep my options open. I guess I play the wind. That's a big factor that I've learned over the years is playing the wind and different stand location to try to track these deer down. And I've had a few decent bucks in that area, and like I said, I this deer was not on my game camera, so I was actually really excited when he came out because it had nice mass and everything to him. And but I had a nice deer in there, and but when a grizzly bear walks through, it really messes up the equations that you've been working on over the whole summer to try to land it right.
Now, why is that? Is the grizzly bear after fawns, or he just disrupts everything?
Just disrupts everything. It's no different. Like we have a lot of cougars too, and everything else. And once they get in there, it seems like everything, the deer, the elk, everything just vanishes. Like that spot there, I have a game camera set up all through the year almost, because it's one of my favorite spots to hunt. It has been the last 4 years. Like I've watched a lot of big bucks come in and out of there, and all of a sudden it seems like every year I run into something, whether it's a cougar passing through or this year was a grizzly bear. We haven't. Everybody says there's no grizzly bears in Alberta, but they're all over the place. It's the matter
There's a
of
lot of bears. There's a lot of bears throughout, not just black bears.
no, yeah, for sure. And they put a real damper on things because everything gets scared of them, right? Because they're not afraid to take down a fawn or anything else if they are hung.
Yeah. Now, what about your wolf population?
Wolf is very strong, more west of my location of hunting. I haven't had any on a game camera. I have seen them out in the wild, but never really interrupted my hunting. It's literally more or less a lot of cougar. Like I've had a lot of cougar around my house, all my hunting quarters. I think every quarter I've hunted on so far of land has had a cougar pass through it at some point or time. And this year is the first for me for having a grizzly pass through, which is
Wow.
kind of cool. But it's when I was tracking that deer at night, it was kind of nerve wracking.
Pucker power. Yeah, it's pucker power.
Yeah, oh yeah. So it's kind of try to get in there, get that deer out as fast as you possibly can. But at the same time, you want to leave that deer and let him kind of die in peace, I guess.
Yeah. No, and actually, this is the first conversation where grizzlies have come into the equation for whitetails that I've had. So, I don't know how big their range is. I know cats can run 100 miles. One cat can run a 100-mile loop.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
And every 7 days they're killing the deer. I mean,
Yeah.
mule deer here in Colorado, that's pretty standard, that that's what they do. And then they feed on it till it's gone, and then they keep moving. But they have a really large, their home range is really large. And, so I'm familiar with that. But as far as, with grizzlies, I'd have to carry my Mossberg 500 just in case, with slugs in it. Because it's bad enough. It's bad enough in Wisconsin where I hunt, having the wolves go off, and around because they're around, and I carry a 9, just because of that. Because walking out, or if you do hit a deer late, in the day and you got to wait a while, then it's it's almost a track meet.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I really wish that in Alberta or Canada that we were able to, as hunters, like especially bow hunters. I mean, you're going in there with an arrow nock, but if a grizzly especially, I mean black bear, you can kind of clap your hands and they're gonna run away. But a grizzly, if it's a mom with cubs, I mean, you could really stir a pot with that. And if you were able to carry a handgun or something at least and be able to fire away at it if it come at you, but they're so strict on that. If you ever killed a grizzly bear, you better have some scratches on your face. I mean,
Yeah, and I get that, but I guess everybody's got to decide how they're going to protect themselves if it becomes an issue. Because in the end, you could be mauled or dead, and sure as heck's not worth it.
yeah, exactly. Especially where I'm not way back in the bush. I mean, there is a main road not too far from me, but I don't tell everybody I'm going in to check my camera. If I go in and check my camera, I mean, that could be it. But the chances of grizzlies, like, they are more or less a passerby, unless there's real good food and real good comfort for them to stick around for some strange reason. But you just never know, right? So that's why it is nice. Like when I was checking my cameras, I did take my 270 in with me, just because it was nice comfort for me. But
Well, yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's talk about your hunting area. We know you were successful and such, but let's talk about the area. So you're agricultural and bush. So there's a lot of edge cover, for whitetails. So take us through, the area that you hunt, how big it is, and how you set it up.
it's honestly, I do a lot on Google Maps, and I do it so that I can see everything in the layout of the land and everything. And I mean, that gives you a pretty good idea of what it will be, other than a little bit of growth and stuff over the last 5 years, maybe. But I like to I do a lot of pre-scouting where I drive around and I look in fields and I see what kind of deer are moving across the road and everything else and where the good food is and what farmers are doing what each year. So when I went and chose this land, it is only a quarter section of land, which is only 160 acres of land, and it is a lot of field, but it's actually cattle grazing field. He didn't have his cows in this year, thankfully, and I got, I don't know, I'd say maybe 60 acres of bush, a straight line of bush, and I chose a spot in there which was a heavy intersection. Lots of deer tracks, scrapes everywhere, elk scrapes everywhere. I knew there was a good possibility, so I slapped a camera up there, and you know what? It worked out for me. I have lots of elk passing through there. I actually shot a big 5x5 in there last year, and I shot out of that same stand last year. I shot a 5x5 bull elk, and I shot 4x4 with 8-point buck out of the same stand within 24 days apart, 22 days apart, I guess it was. And then
Wow.
this year, I got lucky enough where I shot another really nice deer, 140-inch roughly deer. It's a really good spot. Like it seems like I tried to read it right. I tried to read where the food is, where they could pass through an open field. But I love bush cover. I love that they can go from almost 4 quarters of land straight through bush and never see a field or anything. And I'm right in the middle of it all. So I do get a lot of passerby bucks. But I mean, if you spend the time and you stand, you could have a possibility of shooting any one of them bucks ever. So
Now, do you have hang-ons or ladder stands or ground
I
blinds? What's your
I
setup?
actually that's my first stand I bought when I moved to Alberta, and it was a ladder stand. It was a single man ladder stand, and I put it up right at the intersection. It's got a bunch of alder bushes surrounding it, so they can't see the ladder. I gave it. I put it up in June, I guess it would be. So it gave it about 2 months roughly of the deer getting used to it. And once they got used to it, they have no idea. They don't care anymore that it's there. It's been up for 3 years now. So
Now, you mentioned elk. Now, what type of terrain are you in? Is it hilly terrain? It's not mountainous at all north of Edmonton.
no, there's a few hills around, but it's nothing crazy. They just love bush and they love being around the river. As far as what I've seen over the last 5 years of hunting them, I spent the first 2 years trying to learn them, trying to speak their language as per se. Like I use the Primo elk reeds, and I love it. I love elk hunting. I love everything there is about it. Like I said, I spent 2 years just trying to learn about them before I even went after them because I didn't want to spook any out of my area. So even when I knew I had elk in there, I was hoping maybe I'd get lucky if one passed by, but I would never try to call them. I didn't want to scare anything, I guess. And yeah, it's pretty much flat terrain, lots of trees, lots of cover for them. And like I said, there is food all around my quarter, and my area is a good spot for bedding, whether it's to the west or east of me. So
Now, you mentioned a river. Is it a major river or is it just a creek?
no, it's actually a pretty big river. It's called the Pembina River. It flows through Drayton and everywhere else, and it's a pretty. It's not fast. It's not a fast river. I just know in the area that I'm in that roughly late October, mid October, late October, November, the start of it, they're guaranteed they're pushed back down to the river. It seems like every year they love to head back to the river, and that's where they hang out the rest of the year. So a lot of my areas that I do hunt, bow season is top notch for elk season. So, like the last 3 years, I've been hunting elk hard, and I hunt elk extremely hard. In all these parts, that's all I do and I half don't even worry about whitetail because I wanna get an elk down. I love the meat. It feeds my family for a full year. So
Now, are you spotting stalking or are you just
no,
calling?
calling them in. I'll walk into a bush in a nice area. Like if I know the quarter well, I'll know where the elk are roughly traveling through, or where they'll pop out, or where they're going to be roughly. I mean, you can't ever be 100% sure, but I use the mouth reeds, the mouth diaphragms, and I do cow calls and bugles and different stuff, and just wait for them to respond, and hopefully they're in the area. I mean,
Because elk hunting in your country is a lot like whitetail hunting. It's very simple, similar because one, food, shelter, and water, and that's what whitetails need. The same thing. Elk are just bigger and they make no noise and they're quite vocal at the right time of year. Um, so elk hunting like you're doing, that sounds pretty exciting as opposed to in the Rockies, you get high in basins and stuff like that. I'm not talking about hunting elk in the oak brush, which would be comparable to the bush, but you can get 10,000 feet or above. That's where I like to hunt elk is in the alpine,
yeah,
in the,
and that is like one of my main goals is actually to head up into the mountains and hunt them right on the flatlands, right below the belly of the beast, kind of thing. And I'd love to follow them and track them around up there, but I've been having so much good luck around my area and staying in the lowlands and in the trees and everything else. I mean, they're to me they're nothing like a deer. You never see them out in the fields unless you're up at 5 in the morning and you can catch a glimpse of them going into the shelter before daylight cracks because that's their favorite time. They feed all night. They're out all night and they head to bed first thing in the morning. And that's the best time to call. That's my favorite time to call. I think is go in and do a couple of nice soft cow calls and then have a big old bull, raspy bull scream back at you.
yeah, that is fun. No matter, what terrain or
Yeah.
what, habitat you're in, you get one of those bulls going and, it's exciting. Now, talking about vocalization, talking about how you use vocalization to hunt whitetails.
I usually don't push on the whitetails unless it's later October, and I'll start doing a little bit of rattling. I love rattling. That's one of my favorite things to do. And I've called in a couple nice little whiteys, about 140s, 130s. Never anything too huge unless it's full on rut, which is November. But like I said, I calling in or trying to be vocal with whitetails is kind of hard to do in the first 2, 3, 4 weeks of September, right? So they're not they're not too active with calls or anything else until Novemberish, I guess, around here anyway.
Yeah, down here, mid October, you can get some action because they're sorting things out, dominance and stuff. And, when they're doing that before the, seeking phase and you get the chasing phase and the different phases. But when they're sorting it out, the dominance, that's a great time, to use, rattling and, soft grunts and, just deer are curious if they're not pressured really heavy. They really are. So you start making some sounds and they're going to come over and check you out. That's been my experience. And it just depends, can you control the pressure that are on the deer? And, that's a huge part of success. And obviously you got a place that, you got a honey hole that, is pretty well set up. And if you just sit there, there's no question you're going to be able to get a deer because it's a transition zone.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like I said, and I loved when you said the honey hole, because that's what I actually call it every time I go in.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I tell people, oh, where'd you get it? I always say the old honey hole fell through again. But no, start of September, I always love just sitting there. I just enjoy being out in the woods anyway. And as soon as September 1st comes, I can't get out to that tree stand fast enough. And I just love sitting there listening to nothing, and hopefully hear that twig snap and look over and there's a big old buck standing there. But if I haven't gotten one, I love rattling right near the end of October. That's like you said, they come out, they're trying to break away from the other bucks, and nothing better than a nice buck coming over the hill, even a little buck. He's got his chest all puffed out, walking at you, looking for a scrap. So
yeah, he's all bristled up and stuff, and he's the bad one in the woods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that and have you ever done any filming?
I actually just started this year. I actually met a real good buddy. I drew my mule deer tag last year too, and I actually shot a really nice mule deer. It was about, I think it went 186. We rough scored it 186, 190. I can't remember what he said, but it was pushing 190. And I missed him in bow season. I ended up actually getting another shot at him in rifle, and I put him down. So I actually spent a lot of time down southern Alberta, and we come up with this plan, and we started this page and everything, and it's called Plug One Outdoors, and we just love what we do, and we love being out there, and yeah, that's basically it. We have a couple cameras, and we start filming everything we do, and I got a GoPro for my bow actually, and I just uploaded a short little clip I made of it onto my page there, Plug One Outdoors, and short little clip of me shooting that whitetail actually. So
wow, it's too bad we couldn't play that now. Huh? Can you share your screen? It's right at the top in the middle. There should be an icon.
See, like a settings or whatever.
Yeah, it should. Well, in my
sharing,
yeah, share screen. Yeah, share screen. Just click on that and go to that short video. Let's see if we can play it.
Okay.
Folks, we're going to go and see if we can get this video up for you.
Maybe you can't play videos here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you can open up the screen, just hit the share the screen button or icon, and then it should open up your browser, and then you go from your browser to the video.
Okay, yeah, I just went into like the settings part or whatever, and it says sharing documents, photos.
Didn't work. Okay, fine. We tried, and so send that to me. Get that sent to me. You can send it as a Google Doc or whatever, and then I just lost you.
Oh no, here, I'm working my way back here. There you go.
All right. So, yeah, send that to me, and then I'll post it when we post your show. We'll embed the clip.
Okay.
Is it on YouTube?
No, not yet. I haven't ventured into that yet.
Okay.
I had to go back to my days on shift. I just had 10 days off to go hunting, and now I'm back on to 12 and 4. So working off my phone and a little laptop here. So
Okay, and the name of your show is Plug One, right?
yeah, Plug One Outdoors.
And
Just
just
a little.
talking about that, how do people reach you? So Plug One Outdoors, is that on Facebook?
So far we just made an Instagram account, and we started with that just to see kind of what we wanted to do, and
Sure.
working on a Facebook account, and even starting up I'm in the midst of starting up like on the internet and everything else, having a page that you can go to that you can click on and just have maybe short clips on there and everything else, and venture out to even maybe being lucky enough to have a few videos that I can upload to YouTube this year. So
That'd be great.
yeah, so it's kind of stay posted on Instagram type thing right now, and like I said, it's just a couple of guys that want to venture out. We love hunting. We love everything there is about it, just being outdoors and everything else. So, and we love watching hunting shows, and we're like, let's do it. So
Good for you. Good for you, Chad. Say, one thing I like to ask my guests during the show, if you've been hunting a few years, what do you wish you knew 5 years ago or so that you know now that would make a huge difference in your hunting?
well, wish I knew if I had moved to Alberta sooner, I could have been.
Okay. Other than that,
No, the biggest thing for me that I think I've learned is you got to have the gear. I think it's not just. I don't know. I found a big difference in having the right kind of camo. It has nothing to do with the color of camo or anything else, but being quiet camo, playing the wind really well, using scent control, everything like that is a major thing that I play in my game right now, and even like stand location and everything else is actually like starting in June and setting up a tree stand instead of waiting till 2 weeks before September. That's stuff I used to do back in the day. Is I wouldn't get out there and put a stand up till 2 weeks before September. Next thing you know, you're sitting in your stand and deer are scared to come out because they notice something different.
so of the things, because you said wind, you said scent control, you said stand location, pick one that's the biggest game changer for you.
I would have to say scent control is the biggest thing for me.
All right, let's talk about that. Let's expand that. 5 years ago, what weren't you doing that you're doing today?
5 years ago, I would have my camo and be wearing it down the road in my truck, playing with my dogs, everything else, and then put it away and put it in the washing machine. Just use normal soap and wash it, hang it up in the closet, and then go out hunting. Now what I do, I don't wear that camo anymore. It sits strictly in a Tupperware container, and I put they're the wafers, or I think they're called wafers, and that little circle thing that put out scent, and I bury those in there, and I give it a nice wash before season starts, and put it back in that Tupperware. It never leaves that thing until I'm at my stand ready to get out and go hunting, and I get out, basically strip down on the side of the road and put all my gear on. So
Yeah, and a lot of guys use scent crusher, and there's a lot of products that help us do that. But the biggest thing is, one, no brighteners, no perfumes in your soap, and then put them in tubs and lock bags, and then don't get into them till you're you're out of your truck and you're ready to go hunting. Then you put your stuff in it. You get, if it's chilly out, that's what it is. But that helps a lot. And there's a lot of good products out there that can help you minimize scent. And the other thing is rubber boots. Leather boots don't work. You you've got to wear rubber boots. I love lacrosse. I went to school there, college there. So, that's where they're from. And, a good, muck boot, rubber boots, lacrosse boots, anything, that just, is scent free, is very important. How about scent? How about, mock scrapes and scent, doe and estrus scent? Do you use any of those?
I use the only estrus scent that I actually do use, unless I haven't got a whitetail in bow season, is the elk scent. I'll use estrus elk, and I'll spray them on the bottom of my boots, so that way when I'm walking around calling, and then I can turn back around if the bull decides to come in, I know that he can smell that, and that's all he's gonna smell. He's not gonna smell me at all, especially when they're in that zone, right? They're coming right. They're looking for elk. They're looking for cows. So for whitetail, I always used I forget what they're called, but it'd be the same thing. Doe estrus, but it'd be from a drip, and you hang it from a tree, and the deer loved it, and they'd always come and they'd always scrape their antlers on the top of the tree branches hanging over, and I always had lucky enough that I always had a tree branch that hung over nice, and I'd always scrape the leaves up and then throw a little dab of doe estrus in there, and it always seemed to work. Set a camera up there, and they loved coming into it. So
Yeah. One thing, misting. Have you ever mist for elk with doe estrus or cow estrus?
no, I've never used that.
That's a great technique. It's
I
a
know
great
I
technique.
see a lot of people using those like the estrus bombs or whatever, where they just let it go and it sprays the whole air and takes right
Right.
off.
But I'm talking about the perfume where you just pump it like you were pumping perfume onto yourself.
Oh,
So
okay.
you get those plastic bottles, you mix, uh, an ounce of estrus and 2 ounces of water. So you get 3 ounces. And then as you're setting up, you just mist it. And so it'll go wherever the wind's going. It'll carry it a lot farther than you realize. And the bull will hit that and he'll come in. I've, I've had bulls, a number of bulls come in to that in a team calling situation
Yeah.
where the caller's behind, he's misting and I'm misting. And so there's a lot of cow scent out there. And we've had, multiple bulls come in at the same time at the right time of year. Nothing's perfect, but you should try that.
Yeah, no,
That misting
sounds good.
technique because it works and it helps cover your scent, but it puts a lot of that scent out there that all of a sudden they just get a whiff of it and they're going, what's that? Because they know what it is, but now they're looking for it. And so they'll come looking for you. So that's a tip, listeners. If you haven't tried it, try misting. And, I don't think I was the first guy to come up with that, but I've used it successfully throughout the Rocky Mountains. And you can do the same thing with whitetails during the rut. I just, every once in a while, sitting in a stand, I'll just hit and I'll throw some doe estrus out there and it'll carry. So a couple tips.
Yeah, no, sounds like a good idea. It even sounds a little bit easier than doing a doe bleed. Just throw a little bit of that in the air for them.
Yeah. Well, you want to get scent in the air, which, and it just, there isn't a preponderance of it, but there's enough that they'll pick up on it and they'll start looking. They'll say, where the heck's that coming from? And then, then you can work them.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me about your gear. What kind of bow do you shoot?
I shoot a Matthews Z7. I think I got it when it first came out, which was roughly, I can't even remember now, 9 years ago, I want to say, something like that. And I love it. It shoots awesome. It shoots true. It shoots everything. I've never switched it up. I've never had a problem with it. So I guess I've never really seen a reason to switch it up.
Yeah. How about your broadheads?
I actually shoot dirt nap broadheads.
Yay, Tom Alderman.
Yeah, I just
I'm happy with Dirt Nap. I mean,
they're
what a great name for a broadhead, Dirt Nap.
yeah I've used a lot of different broadheads over the last 5 years, and they are my favorite. And they have full warranty, which is sweet. I actually have to figure out a way of dealing with that because the deer I shot, I did a clean pass through, which is the first animal I've ever had a clean pass through. And I've shot the last 5 animals I shot were at 7-10 yards. And dirt naps just hammered this thing and drove straight through him. And then I actually had to put another one in because he was a little messed up. And when I walked in on him, I kind of jumped him and I had to give him another one. And I hit the top of his spine. It bounced through, hit a rib, and hit his spine. And it actually it curled the end of it. But those things are so tough. They shoot so true. They shoot just like my field tips, which are awesome.
Well, that's a good testimony. And Tom Olin is a great guy, makes a great product. And if you haven't tried Dirt Nap, try them. There's a lot of good broadheads out there, but they're in my quiver.
Yeah, for sure.
If you were starting off hunting whitetails in Canada, what would you tell people right now? Here's the first thing you got to do. If you're going to hunt Canada for whitetails, what would you tell them?
Depending on the year, if it's October, November, I guess even now, dress warm. But no, they're an awesome animal to hunt. You gotta learn them. You gotta watch them. You gotta set cameras up. You can't just go into the bush, and I mean you can, but that's getting some good luck if you happen to come across a good buck. But in order to hunt whitetail here, it's just like anywhere else. You gotta put the time in. You gotta be putting cameras up. So
Yeah, because I know a lot of people use outfitters, and that's great. And a lot of people DIY. And the good DIY hunters, no matter where they hunt, they observe more than they hunt. I have a good friend out at Highland. He goes out to the Dakotas, and if they're out there for 5 days, they're looking for deer from afar for 3 days. And then they'll spend maybe just one afternoon or one evening on a deer, and they either get it or they don't. And that's a technique I think a lot of people are missing because they said, well, I'm just going to go to the same old stand, and they're missing, they might be a quarter mile from a wonderful booner buck, and they never see them because they're in habits and they're not observing. And, you've got to, if you want to hunt, mature whitetails, you got to be observing. You got to be covering ground, and you got to observe them from afar. So you need good glass and get on a hilltop and just sit there from sun up to sundown and see what the heck happens. Your thoughts on that?
oh, that's exactly right. I like you nailed it. Scouting's the biggest thing in hunting by far. I think is if you don't put the time on in it, you're not going to shoot big deer or big elk or even get on them every single year. You might get lucky the odd year, but if you don't put the time in, you're not gonna get positive feedback, I guess.
Well, with that, I'm going to wrap the show. We've been on for almost 35, going on 40 minutes. And Chad, just thank you for saying, hey, I'd love to be on Whitetail Rendezvous and podcast. And I love talking to you guys north of the border because you're fun and you're great hunters. And, it's just enjoyable. So thank you, sir, for being a guest on Whitetail Rendezvous.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, folks, we got a new sponsor. It's called Buckwild Coffee. What's so special about Buckwild Coffee? Well, a gazillion people go to Starbucks every day and drink coffee. Well, why shouldn't Buckwild Coffee offer you light, medium, or dark roast with free shipping? All you have to do is go to whitetailrendezvous.com, go to shop, and order your coffee, and I'll ship it out for free. Hey, thanks so much for visiting Buckwild Coffee. The best brew in the West, the best brew around the campfire, the best brew in the hunting shack, the best brew anywhere. Buckwild Coffee. Get yours today.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.